welcome to the analysis of 2022 EOM CMAT 5. We will be doing analysis of QA section here. This is going to be the flow of our analysis. We'll start with topic distribution, followed by question mapping. This is where we try to classify every question into one of three major difficulty levels, that being easy, moderate, or difficult. Based on our understanding of difficulty level, we will try to arrive at expected attempts, and finally we'll discuss expected scores versus percentile equivalence. So let's begin with topic distribution. This was the topic distribution for this particular EOM CMAT. There were three questions on data interpretation. One set was given that consisted of these three questions. Apart from that, there were two questions on each of the topics like percentage, linear equation, and numbers, and one question from the rest of the chapters that includes profit and loss, quadratic equation, ratio proportion, SICI, allocation, time and work, time and distance, set theory, progression, mensuration, and coordinate geometry. So overall very balanced paper, and each and every topic finds its representation except for PNC and probability being completely missing from the paper. Let's look at the question mapping. First of all, we'll discuss easy questions. So there was this question on mensuration where number of bricks were required to build a wall was to be found out. So this was very easy question according to me. You just have to divide the volume of the wall with the volume of the brick to get the number of bricks required. Next was a profit and loss based question where it was given that if you sell at 9 rupees per kg, you make 20% loss. So at what prices should you sell in order to make 5% profit? Then there was a question on allocation and mixture. It was standard allocation mixture question where we had to mix 8% and 18% in order to get a total of 14% overall. Then a question on coordinate geometry, which was based on centroid of a triangle. So anybody who knows the formula to find out centroid of the triangle could have done this question within 1 minute's time. A question on simple interest, compound interest. So here number of years was to be calculated and the rest of the data was given to you. So simple interest, principal, and the rate of interest was already given in the question. Then a question based on percentage where maximum marks were to be calculated. A question on time and work. It's again a standard format where two people are working one after another, or maybe they are working in parts, and we had to find out the total number of days required to complete the entire work. A question based on set theory where we had to find out the number of people playing exactly 2 games. So this could have been either solved using Venn diagram or could have been solved using the formula of A union B union C, either of which will work here. Then a question based on ratio, again a very standard question where we had to find out the number of coins of different denominations. A question on numbers where it was given that LCM of two numbers are in the ratio of 7:8. So you can just work with the option and find out the answer to this question. Next was again a question on numbers where we had to find out the difference between the largest and smallest number that can be formed using 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. A question on percentage where ratio of A and B using a percentage relation was to be calculated. So it was given that 4% of A plus 6% of B is 2/3 of some percentage of A plus some percentage of B. So we had to solve this equation first and get the ratio of A and B out of that. Then a question on progression. It was given that sum of 3 consecutive terms was 21, so the middle term has to be 7. If you go by the options, there was only one option with a middle term of 7. So if you just apply a bit of smartness over here, this question could have been solved within 15 to 20 seconds only. Let's come to the moderate level questions. So I could classify at least two questions, one DI set and one more question as moderate level questions here. So obviously the data interpretation set, which consisted 3 questions, which was giving you a percentage breakup of revenue, can be considered a moderate level question because the overall number wasn't given anywhere. So some of the questions could not be solved. So the answer to most of the questions here was cannot be determined. Next was a question on time and distance, a linear race based question where you have to take the ratio of the distance traveled and solve the final answer. A question on quadratic equation which was based on difference of roots. So if you know that difference of root is root delta by A, you could have solved this question. Next was a question on linear equation where a person was winning a lottery ticket, and then he's giving some amount to his friend, he's making some expenditure, and is finally left with certain amount. So you have to make one linear equation in order to solve this question. Coming to the question mapping of difficult questions, I could only see one question which was difficult, the turban one. Okay, except for this, rest of the questions were all doable question at least. And based on this understanding of difficulty level analysis, let us discuss this breakup. So I could discuss as many as 14 questions as easy, and I want students to attempt most of these easy questions. So a well prepared student, somebody who is worthy of getting 98 percentile in this particular paper, should have solved 13 questions out of these 14, because see, if you want to score high, you should capitalize on most of the easy questions. Okay, after that, out of 5 moderate level questions, I could say that you could have solved around 50% of them, which comes to 3, and the difficult question would have been avoided. So all in all, in my opinion, out of 20 questions, a well prepared student should have solved 16 questions. Now for these 16 questions, if we take the accuracy level of let's say around 85%, okay, that has to be the ideal accuracy ratio. 85% accuracy gives you around 14 questions correct and 2 incorrect. So based on that, 14 correct gives me 56 positive, 2 incorrect gives me 2 negative. So my 98 percentile, the benchmarking score becomes 54, which is what you can see in this table. Okay, 54 is a score equivalent to 98 percentile. If quant is one of your stronger area, then you should definitely aspire higher. You should look forward to the numbers of 99 percentile as well as 100 percentile, which is 65 and 80 respectively. Yes, 80 is possible. Somebody who is very well versed with the section could have scored full marks here. Okay, now coming to 95 percentile, 44 is the marks equivalent to 95. 35 is a score equivalent to 90 percentile, and 25 is a score equivalent to 80 percentile. So this was the section. This was the analysis of QA section. I hope this helps.
Welcome to the analysis of EOM CMAT 5 of the 2022 season. Today we are going to focus on the language comprehension section and the analysis of the language comprehension section in EOM CMAT 5 in the 2022 season. When we talk about the analysis, we are going to principally focus on the topic distribution, difficulty mapping, which is question mapping, understanding which questions are easy, which are moderate, and which are difficult, expected number of attempts, and we're going to show you a benchmark of 98 percentile score that you should have achieved possibly. Benchmark that we're keeping is 98 percentile. Now, if you go by the topic distribution here, one thing that stands out is we had 20 questions in this particular section for this particular test, out of which 15 were 15 came from reading comprehension type questions. So practically you had 4 passages, one passage having 6 questions, and the rest 3 having 3 questions each. Okay, and then you had 2 vocabulary based questions, 2 grammar based questions, and 1 parajumbles questions, rounding up the rest 5 to make it 20 questions. All right. Now, if we come to the reading comprehension passages first, the first passage we're going to talk about is the US-Cuba-Russia relations passage. The passage was an easy read. You had 6 questions, and all 6 were direct questions. Out of the 6, 5 were easy to deal with. 1 was moderate, which is question 2 was easy, question 4, question 5, question 6, and question 7 were easy. The only question that was moderate was question 3. So all in all, definitely this passage should have been attempted by the student. Moving to the next passage, we have a classical empiricism based passage. So where we had 3 questions, we had 1 direct questions, which was easy, question 8, 1 inference based question, which is question 9, which is moderate, and 1 main point based question, which was difficult. So if there is a passage that I can suggest that you can leave out or you may want to leave out, it could be this one, because it is not a very easy read. It was an abstract topic, classical empiricism, and you just had three questions out of which only one was easy and one was difficult and one was moderate. So the passage that you could have left if you did not have enough time. Third passage we had related to feminism with a historical perspective on it. You had one tone based question which could be termed as moderate, question 13, one direct question which was easy, one inference question which is moderate. So you could have scored 2 out of 3 here if you attempted this passage, at least. We move on to the last passage, which is based on zooplankton and phytoplankton. So it's a science based passage. We had one main point question, which is moderate, question 20, one direct question, which is question 18, which is easy, one inference question, which is question 19, which is difficult. So again, here you could do two questions and one was difficult, or you could do one and two were not advisable to be attempted, either way. So out of the four passages, definitely you could attempt the first one, and you could attempt one 3 questions based passage. The rest two you could try and identify the direct question and answer them, and move out quickly. That's one strategy that you could have used with this particular type of question. Moving ahead, parajumbles, you just had one question which was question 17, and it was moderate in difficulty level. If you had enough practice, this could have been doable, but we would suggest that it's a moderate level question. From grammar, you had one spotting the error question, which is easy, question 16, one fill in the blanks questions, which was question 1, which is easy. So you only had 2 grammar based questions. Both questions were easy, and both questions were very doable. Coming to vocabulary, you had one usage based question, which is match the following, which can be termed as difficult, question 15, because of the matches that were provided. One synonym based question, which is easy, question 14. So you had 2 vocabulary based questions, one easy and one difficult. Overall, if you look at the expected attempts scores, we are looking at 11 easy questions, 6 moderate level questions, and 3 difficult questions. So we're looking at 11 easy questions. You should have 100% accuracy. Out of 6 moderate questions, you could have attempted 3 to 4 questions, and out of difficult questions, 3 difficult questions, you could have attempted 1 correctly. So ultimately, we are looking at 16 attempts, 15 to 16 attempts, and close to 80% accuracy, or just more than 80% accuracy with 16 attempts will lead you to 49 as the score, accounting for the negative marking. So we're looking at a 98 percentile score of 49 marks for this particular test. That's about it. Thank you.
Welcome students. This is a session on the analysis of GK section, general awareness section in CMAT mock test number 5. So let us look at these questions. Let me first tell you that CMAT mock 5 was in the new pattern, which is 20 questions in GK. तो आपको पता है कि CMAT का एक नया पैटर्न आ गया है जिसमें अभी number of questions in each section is 20. They have been reduced from 25 to 20. So this section had 20. This test has 20 questions of GK divided into static GK and current affairs. All right. Now this particular GK section was very heavy in static GK because there were only very few questions from current affairs. Majority of the questions were from static GK. Let us start looking at those questions one by one. Okay, so the first question was on Alexandria is the port city in which of the following countries? The correct answer to this question is Egypt. Alexandria is a very famous port or bandargah in Egypt. Moving on to next question. Next question is about apiculture is the science related to which area? Now this I think was an easy question because apiculture is the science of rearing honey bees. ठीक है, मधुमक्खी पालन. is called apiculture. So this is the practice of cultivating honeybees for commercial purposes. Here you should know that honeybee is called as Apis indica. Apis indica is the biological name of honeybee. So apiculture has come from this word, apis. Correct? Similarly, silk rearing is called as sericulture, and fruit cultivation is called as horticulture. Horticulture. So correct answer is rearing of honeybee. Moving on to third question. Third question was about economic liberalization in India started with. So the question is asking about LPG policies of 1991, liberalization, privatization and globalization policy of 1991. And all the four options are correct because LPG policies were related to all four of them. But the question is about which was the first step taken in LPG policies. So, while all the four answers are correct, the first step taken was changing the industrial licensing policy in India. And this process actually started with Rajiv Gandhi government in 1985. Correct? So, under this policy, Indian industries were given relaxation in import duties and import licensing. It was made easier and cheaper for Indian companies to get foreign goods, foreign technologies and products. So the first step was changes in industrial licensing policy. This is also the correct answer. Moving on to question number 4. Question number 4 is about finding the incorrect match. Now please do not get confused. हमको wrong match find out करना है. Which of the following is wrongly matched? ठीक है. Now एक साइड पर दिए हैं कंट्रीज के नाम, इजराइल, चाइना, यूके एंड यूएसए, और दूसरी साइड पर दिए हैं उन सारी कंट्रीज की इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसीज के नाम या फिर स्पाइंग एजेंसीज के नाम. करेक्ट. अब इनमें से इजराइल इज करेक्टली मैच्ड क्योंकि इजराइल की स्पाइंग एजेंसी का नाम है मोसाद. यूके इज करेक्टली मैच्ड क्योंकि यूके की स्पाइंग एजेंसी का नाम है MI6. यूएसए इज ऑल्सो करेक्टली मैच्ड, यूएस की एजेंसी का नाम है CIA. Incorrect match is KGB क्योंकि KGB is not the spying agency of China, it is the spying agency of Russia. KGB is the intelligence agency or spying agency of Russia. Correct. Now here it is also important to know, in case of India, our spying agency is called as RAW, Research and Analysis Wing. Correct. So these are the spying agencies of different countries, and because we have to find out incorrect match, so this is incorrect match. KGB is the spy agency of Russia. So this is question number 4. Moving on to question number 5. Question number 5 is about Gini coefficient. Gini coefficient is a measure of statistical dispersion intended to represent the income or wealth distribution. Now, let me tell you briefly, Gini coefficient is an index. Gini coefficient is an index which was developed by Italian statistician whose name was Corrado Gini. Corrado Gini developed this index or developed this coefficient in 1912. And what this index does, this index measures the inequality. It measures inequality of income or wealth among the population in a country. So it measures income inequality or wealth inequality. Correct. Now the value of Gini coefficient varies from 0 to 1. In this coefficient, the value of 0 means that there is no inequality, zero inequality, which means 0 is a situation of perfect equality. Zero inequality means perfect equality. Correct? So the correct answer here will be perfect equality. Zero inequality means perfect equality. So this is question number 5. Next is question number 6. Okay. So question number 6 is about, in India, the Council of Ministers are responsible to which of the four? Council of Minister in Hindi is called as Mantri Mandal. Correct? And you should remember that according to Article 75 of Indian Constitution, Council of Minister is responsible to House of the People. Because House of the People in Hindi is called as Lok Sabha. So in India, all the ministers are jointly responsible to Lok Sabha under Article 75 of Indian Constitution. Correct. Next question is question number 7, which is about the name of India's first, which is about the company that has developed India's first indigenous COVID vaccine, that is Covaxin. I think this is a very, very easy question. Correct answer is Bharat Biotech. Bharat Biotech is the Hyderabad-based pharma research company that has developed the first indigenous COVID vaccine in India, that is named as Covaxin. Here, I also want to tell you that currently India has approved 10 vaccines, 10 COVID vaccines are approved in India. Okay? If I give you a quick list of these 10. So, first vaccine is Covishield, second is Covaxin, third is Sputnik, third is Sputnik 5. Fourth vaccine is Zycov-D, which is a vaccine developed by Zydus Cadila. Correct? And here you should remember that Zycov-D is also the first DNA vaccine, DNA COVID vaccine in the whole world. It is developed by Ahmedabad-based Cadila Healthcare. Then fifth vaccine is Covax. Sixth one is Corbevax. Correct? Seventh vaccine is Janssen, which is a vaccine developed by Johnson and Johnson. Eighth is Spikevax. Spikevax is the vaccine by Moderna, American pharma company Moderna. Ninth is Vaxzevria. So please remember here that Vaxzevria is another vaccine developed by AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca is also the company that has developed Covishield. So this vaccine is also developed by AstraZeneca. And then last vaccine, which has been approved for use in India very recently, is another version of Sputnik. It is called as Sputnik Light. So guys, please remember, as in February 2022, these are the 10 vaccines already approved for use in India against COVID. By the way, despite approval, the two most commonly used vaccines in India even today are Covishield and Covaxin. So this is question number 7. Okay. Very easy question. Let us move on to question number 8, which is, which Ved is considered as the origin of Indian classical music? भारतीय शास्त्रीय संगीत का उदय किस वेद से माना गया है? अब आप सबको पता है वेद 4 होते हैं. ऋग्वेद, which is the oldest Veda, correct? And Yajurved is basically it is a book of prayers. Samved is a book of music, and Atharvaved is a book of rituals, which means the correct answer in this case is Samved. Indian classical music has been developed from, or it has originated from, Samved. Okay. Next question, question number 9, is about the natural habitat of wild Asiatic ass, which means Asiatic ass means jungli gadha, which in Gujarati is called as ghudkur. Correct? And I am telling you the Gujarati name because the natural habitat of wild Asiatic ass is Run of Kutch. So this is the correct answer. Question number 10. Question number 10 is, which among the following rates will always be lower than the other 4? Now this is a slightly analytical question. Easy question if you know these 4 definitions. Correct answer is the reverse repo rate. reverse repo rate is always less than the other three for the simple reason that reverse repo reason is that these three rates, repo rate, bank rate, and marginal standing facilities, these are the three rates on which RBI gives loan to the banks, which means these three are income for RBI. Correct? Whereas reverse repo rate is actually an expenditure for RBI. And RBI is very wise. This is why RBI always keeps its expenditure lower. Just like any wise person, RBI also keeps its expenditure always lower than its income. And this is why the correct answer is reverse repo rate. I hope you are able to understand the logic here. Okay. Question number 11 is about which Indian state does not share its border with Bangladesh. This is a difficult question unless you know the geography of India's northeast. So let me show you this image. This is a political map of India. On your screen, it will open in just one minute. And when this map opens, you will be able to see the boundaries of India's northeastern states. Correct. So if you look at India's northeast, this is Bangladesh. And this is Bangladeshi border. As you can see, Manipur is situated very far from Bangladesh. It does not share its border with Bangladesh, and therefore the correct answer to this question will be Manipur. Manipur is the correct answer. Now, next in this section, there is another question in this section related to the India-Bangladesh border. We will come to that question, but answer to this question number 11 is Manipur. Question number 12 is about which of the following is not a Maharatna company in India. Now, let me tell you briefly about Maharatna company. In India, there are something called as public sector companies or PSUs, which are government companies. Now, government companies in India are divided into different categories. Primarily three categories. There are three different categories of government companies in India. The biggest ones are called as Maharatna. Then there are Navratnas. And then there are Mini Ratnas. Correct? So these are the three categories of government companies in India depending upon their annual turnover and also their net profit. So let me tell you, for a company to be declared as Maharatna, its turnover must be 25,000 crore rupees per annum and net profit should be more than 5,000 crore rupees per year. So turnover should be more than 25,000 crore rupees and net profit should be more than 5,000 crore rupees. Such companies are called as Maharatna companies, and at present India has 10 such companies. India has 10 Maharatnas. Correct? Just to give you a list of those 10, which are the 10 Maharatna companies of India. For a company to be declared as Maharatna, its turnover must be 25,000 crore rupees per annum and net profit should be more than 5,000 crore rupees per year. So first one is called as Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, BHEL. I'm going in alphabetical order. So first one is Bharat Heavy Electrical Limited or BHEL. Next is Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, BPCL. Next is Coal India Limited or CIL. Next is Gas Authority of India Limited or GAIL. Next is Hindustan Petroleum Corporation of India Limited or HPCL. Correct? Then sixth is Indian Oil Corporation Limited, IOCL. Seventh is National Thermal Power Corporation Limited or NTPC. Eighth is Oil and Natural Gas Commission, ONGC. Ninth is Power Grid Corporation of India Limited, PGCIL, Power Grid Corporation of India Limited. And 10th is Steel Authority of India Limited or SAIL. So these are the 10 Maharatna companies in India. All right. So which becomes the correct answer? Correct answer will be Answer is about which of the following is not a Maharatna. So the correct answer will be Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. So this is question number 12. Question number 13 is about which of the following is incorrect about fast breeder reactor. Now this is a slightly technical question. Fast breeder reactor means here we are talking about nuclear reactors. Correct? And nuclear reactors are of different types. Here we are talking about the nuclear reactors which are fast and which are breeder. Understand what does this mean? Fast means that in this type of nuclear reactors, neutrons travel at a fast speed. Correct? And breeder, because in these type of reactors, they consume fuel, but they also breed or they also produces fuel. So these are a unique type of reactors because these reactors consume fuel as well as produce fuel or breed fuel. The difference is that they consume or they use uranium as a fuel, but in the process they produce plutonium, which can again be used as a fuel. So this is why they are called as breeder reactors, because they breed or they produce fuel. Correct? So now with this background, what will be the correct answer to this question? We have to find out which of the following is incorrect. So that means option number A is incorrect. They produces less fuel than they consume. This is wrong. They actually produces more fuel than they consume. So option number 13 is correct. Next is question number 14. Question number 14 is about Brahma Samaj. Brahma Samaj. Brahma Samaj was an organization founded by Sir Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who was a very, very famous social reformer of India. He founded an organization called Brahma Samaj in 1828. Correct? Now the question is, which of these two statements is incorrect? Correct? First statement is that Brahma Samaj denounced means criticized, polytheism and idol worship. Polytheism means worshipping of many gods, and idol worship means murti puja, worshipping a statue. So point is that this statement is actually incorrect because this statement is correct. Of many gods, and idol worship means murti puja, worshipping a statue. So point is that this statement is actually incorrect because this statement is correct. This statement is correct because Brahma Samaj was against murti puja. They were against idol worship. And second question is, Brahma Samaj were against caste restriction. This statement is also correct because they were against caste. They were in favor. Brahma Samaj was in favor of equality among all the castes. So this statement is correct. Now both the statements are correct, but we have to find out which statement is incorrect. Okay, that means answer will be D. Because both the statements are correct, but question is asking about incorrect statement. So answer will be D. Next is question number 15, which is about which organization is the regulator of commodity markets. This I think is a relatively easy question because correct answer is SEBI. Now here please remember that SEBI is a regulator of stock markets and also commodity markets. SEBI is a regulator of both of these markets. So correct answer is SEBI. Forward Market Commission, it was merged with SEBI. These two were merged in 2015. So after 2015, stock market is regulating both. After 2015, SEBI is regulating both stock market as well as commodity markets. All right, question number 16. Question number 16 is about who elects the deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha. Now, please remember here that Rajya Sabha has a chairman. Rajya Sabha has a chairman and a deputy chairman. Deputy means his junior. Just a second. Yeah. And out of these two, chairman is not elected because this is an automatic post. Automatic post means that vice president of India, भारत के उपराष्ट्रपति, is by default the chairman of Rajya Sabha. ठीक है? But this is not an automatic post. Here it is election which takes place. Correct. And who elects a deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha? Answer is the members of Rajya Sabha themselves. They vote among themselves and elect a deputy chairman. The correct deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha in India is Harivansh. His name is Harivansh Rai. He is a MP from Janata Dal United. He is an MP from Bihar. Okay, so this is question number 16. Question number 17 is about who has been appointed as the 47th Chief Justice of India. Now guys, please remember this question is wrong. This question is outdated. Correct? Because India already has a 48th Chief Justice. India already had a 48th Chief Justice of India and his name is Justice N.V. Ramanna. He was appointed as the Chief Justice on 24th April last year. So this is actually a wrong question. You need to remember the name of Justice N.V. Ramanna, who is the 48th Chief Justice of India. Okay. Question number 18 is about who introduced the Patta and Kabuliyat system of land deeds during medieval India. Now, Patta and Kabuliyat is basically a system in which king used to issue an order. King used to issue an order or a farman to give a piece of land to an individual under certain terms and conditions. And this system in India was started by Sher Shah Suri. So correct answer is option number B. Question number 19 is a question from sports. It is about pitcher is a term used in which sport? I think it is an easy question. Correct answer is pitcher is a term used in baseball. And last question in this section is about Knesset. Knesset is the parliament. Knesset is the name of the parliament of Israel. It is the name of Israel's parliament. This is a question which is generally asked in examination. So please keep this term in mind. Knesset is the name of the parliament of Israel. Here I also want to tell you that Diet is the name of parliament of Japan. So sometimes this question is also asked. Knesset is the parliament of Israel. Diet is the parliament of Japan. So these were the 20 GK questions in CMAT Mock 5. Now, out of these 20, I think most of the questions were from static GK, but these were not very difficult questions. Some of the questions were from current affairs, which were very easy. Overall, I think a good attempt in this section out of 20 questions will be 4 to 5 questions will be a good attempt, or should I say not good attempt, 4 to 5 should be the cutoff. 4 to 5 questions, not marks. And I think a good score in this section will be 7 to 8 questions correct. So cutoff will be 4 to 5 marks, 4 to 5 questions. And if each question is 4 marks, cutoff will be 16 to 20 marks. 16 to 20 will be cutoff. And good score will be somewhere around 28 to 32 is the good score. So this is it. This is the analysis of GK section. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to the analysis of 2022 EOM CMAT 5. We'll be analyzing the LR section here. This is going to be the flow of analysis. We start with topic distribution, followed by question mapping, where we try to classify every question into one of the 3 difficulty levels, that is either easy or moderate or difficult. Based on our difficulty analysis, we'll try to arrive at expected attempts and finally expected scores and percentile equivalence. So this is how topic distribution looks like in this particular EOM. There were as many as 6 questions from arrangement, which included arrangements of all sorts like linear arrangement, arrangement around a square table, arrangement around a rectangular table, and ranking based questions as well. There were 3 questions from puzzle, 3 from series as well, and 2 questions from direction sense, statement assumption, and statement conclusion, 1 question from set theory, and 1 question from blood relation. Coming to the difficulty analysis, let's look at the question mapping of easy questions first. So these are the 2 questions from series, and both of them can be categorized as easy questions because we just had to observe multiples between the two successive numbers. So if you just observe the multiples between 2 successive numbers, you'll be able to crack both the series easily. Then there were 2 questions on direction sense. Both of them were fairly easy and doable questions. 1 question based on arrangement, which was ranking based. So it was given that a person is ranking 17th from front in a group of 31 students. So what is his rank from the back side? Then there were 2 questions on statement assumption. Both can be categorized as easy question. There was 1 question on statement conclusion. The one which is based on syllogs was an easy question. Then a question based on set theory, which was an easy question, and a question on series where we had to find out an odd one out. So that was also an easy question. A question based on arrangement, linear arrangement, where we had to find out a person who is there in the middle. So this could have been also done by the students. And finally, a question based on blood relation, which was also a doable one. So this was a list of easy questions, and you should have attempted most of these questions. Okay, and now coming to question mapping of moderate questions. The second question, which was based on statement conclusion, can be categorized as moderate question. Next was arrangement on arrangement based question, arrangement on linear pattern. Okay, where there was a group of people who were facing north, and there were some instructions given based on which you can arrive at the final arrangement. Now this was a slightly time consuming question as well, and hence I have classified it as a moderate question. Again, an arrangement based question. So 8 people were to be arranged around a square table, and there were instructions given, and we had to find out a group of 3 ladies out of a group of 8 persons. So that was the objective of the question. A question based on puzzle where there were a lot of instructions given, but if you just pick up one line in this entire puzzle, that is A, C, and advocate like apple juice, you should be able to straight away mark the answer. Then again, question based on arrangement where 7 students were to be arranged on 3 benches. So here also there were a lot of instructions given, and that's why this was also a time consuming question. The next one was a question based on puzzle where cricketers were to be matched with the home countries and the opponent countries. So all these questions, whatever you are able to see on this slide, especially the arrangement based questions as well as the puzzle based question, this included lengthy instructions, all of them, and especially when such questions carry only one question. Okay, such set carry only one question and they do not have multiple questions attached to the same set, you should be initially avoiding these questions. Okay, because even after spending let's say 4 minutes or 5 minutes on a question, if you are not able to solve if you are able to solve only one question and there are not even 2 to 3 questions attached to a set, you should keep them at a later priority. Now moving to question mapping of difficult question. Again, a question based on arrangement. People were to be arranged around a rectangular table. A group of 7 people were to be arranged, 3 on each side and 1 at the head of the table. So here there were 2 cases need to be made. And lastly, there was a question, a puzzle based question again, where we had to match husbands, wives, and their profession. Again, this question involved a lot of instruction, plus this puzzle required some amount of effort to be solved. Now, based on this difficulty analysis, let's look at the question mapping, the expected scores. So we discussed as many as 12 easy questions, and if you want to do well in this paper, you should have attempted most of the easy questions. So we expect you to attempt at least 11 out of these 12 questions. Coming to the moderate level question, we expect you to solve around 2/3 of this. So 4 out of 6 questions should have been attempted. This is where you have to invest some extra amount of time, but that is always a feasibility as far as CMAT is concerned. Now, out of 2 difficult questions, we expect you to attempt 1 question, and hence, out of total of 20 questions, you should have attempted around 16 questions. Now, when I say that you should have attempted around 16 questions out of 20, I'm keeping a benchmark in mind, which is 98 percentiler. Okay, so if you are a 90 percentiler, your attempt might be less. If you are somebody who is scoring higher than 98 percentile, again, your attempt would be slightly more than this. Okay, so this is in line with the benchmarking percentile, that is 98. So out of this 16 attempt, if I expect around 85% accuracy, I would expect 14 of them to be correct, 2 questions to be incorrect, which gives me 56 positive, 2 negative. So 54 net score can be equivalent to 98 percentile. Look at this table here. 54 is 98. This is the value which is highlighted in this table. Okay. 99 percentile you can get at a score of 63, and 100 percentile you can get it at a score of 76. 95 is available at 44, 90 is at 37, and 80 percentile is at a score of 28. So these are sectional percentile for LR section. Now let's come to the overall analysis also. So look at this chart. This shows you sectional as well as overall percentile for all the sections. So check the first row out. 80 percentile you should get in a QA section at a score of 20. For LR, it is at a score of 28. VARC, it is at a score of 33. Same for GK, 80 percentile, you can get it at a score of 17 marks. And innovation and entrepreneurship, the newly introduced section, 80 percentile is somewhere near a score of 15. Overall, if you are able to score 128 marks, you will be an 80 percentiler in this paper. And you need to interpret the rest of the numbers in a similar manner. Okay, if you want, you can take a screenshot of this chart and study this chart in a detail so that you can understand how much you need to score in order to reach the required percentile or your target percentile. Okay, so overall, I will just discuss the overall percentile with this course. 90 percentile, you should get it at an overall score of 154. 95 percentile, you can get it at an overall score of 184. Just keep observing the last column of this table. 98 percentile, you can get at a score of 223. 99 at a score of 235, and 100 percentile, you can get it at a score of 328. So this is it from today. I hope this was informative. Thanks for joining. Goodbye.